Hi, welcome back to OTV. My name's Matt. I've been encouraged to do this podcast on my own by Shah's comments today about the financial fair play and the Premier League's investigation resulting from that regarding Man City, my team. So, yeah, I mean, these reports have come out. It's in predominantly two papers. I'm not going to mention their names. They're not papers that I subscribe to at all, and purposely don't click on their links due to their journalistic standards. But what they are reporting is, from what I understand from a tweet, is that the legal gags have been removed from these papers, going to the court to basically cast an eye over what are the legal interactions going on between Manchester City and the Premier League at the moment. I don't know what the ins and outs of this are. I know it's related to financial fair play. I know it is to do with the emails that were released by Die Spiegel. The person who released those emails, Rui Pinto, he was under house arrest at the moment, I believe, in Portugal for hacking. So these emails were gained illegally. He's offered to help the Premier League in any investigation against Manchester City. I think probably just to try and sort of like reduce his sentence for hacking, if that is indeed the offer on the table. They were obtained illegally. It doesn't mean they don't exist. So we do have to essentially have an answer from the club for that. They did provide an answer at the time. They said they were taken out of context. Whether that's enough for people to believe that, as a City fan, it's difficult because it does seem there is a little bit going on here. But it's a difficult situation with the funding through Abu Dhabi. Etihad Airways are owned by the Abu Dhabi state. They benefit from the sovereign wealth of that state, which is managed by the Crown Prince, which is Sheikh Mansour's brother. So there is obviously a connection between the two, and there always was, and that was always declared, because Etihad are sponsoring Manchester City because of their connections through Abu Dhabi. This all comes down to basically have City breached Premier League rules by breaching financial fair play rules. Now, earlier this year, City were the case that UEFA brought against City was thrown out of court basically by the Court of Arbitration in Switzerland. The fact that the Premier League have carried on pursuing this is something to do with was there false reporting, and that is a breach of their rules of honest reporting of financial accounts. We're not going to know until this investigation's over. It does seem to me it's a little bit of a slow news day because there's actually nothing really to report at this moment. I don't believe there is any actual evidence that's come to light that's new, that hasn't been presented before. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens. I know Shah sort of like related this to Newcastle's takeover. I think these are two very, very different things. I mean, this is not. I mean, there was obviously a fit and proper persons test performed when Sheikh Mansour took over the club, and because the Saudi sovereign wealth fund are now trying to take over Newcastle, there is obviously a correlation because those two are in the Middle East. They are very different sovereign states. I'm not going to comment on why they're different, but they are, and it shouldn't be just because you're from an Arab state that you suddenly are subjected to this test. And there is actually no actual sort of layout of laws of what this test actually, which boxes do you have to tick in order to pass a fit and proper persons test. And I feel sorry for Newcastle fans because they do deserve a decent owner. They've had a terrible one in Mike Ashley. I feel sorry for their fans ever since he's been at the club. Really, I know what it's like to go through that. We had Peter Swales followed by Franny Lee, who were both pretty terrible chairmen. I'd say Freddie Lee just didn't have the money, but Peter Swales was, ran that club into the ground. And it's horrible when you can't do anything about your club. We're seeing this coming out this summer with the actual formation of the European Super League, or the potential formation of the European Super League, and the protests that we saw of fans of various clubs, saying they weren't happy with their chairman. So moving on from that, I mean, City now also reports paper slow news day, I'm sure, about City putting in a £160 million bid for Harry Kane and a £90 million deal for Grealish, already been signed. Apparently, they agreed personal terms. Looking at those figures, it doesn't ring true for me for City. I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. Their biggest purchase was Ruben Diaz for £65 million, I think, last year, and the previous one before that was Kevin De Bruyne at 60 million, which was criticised at the time for 60 million for a flop, which shows how much these journalists know about football, really, considering what Kevin De Bruyne has done since. I mean, let's see how this plays out in terms of Manchester City, as let's hope that it's resolved for the Newcastle fans as well in terms of the Saudi group. So they've got an answer. Just delaying it until 2022 just seems to me, it's like, the Premier League got no teeth with that. It's like waiting for new evidence to emerge just seems like just kicking the can down the road, which is pretty much where it comes to my conclusion, which is, is there a fit and proper person's test to be employed at the Premier League? Because it seems that they get quite a lot of droll in that job at the moment, and it's just not run to the satisfaction of pretty much any fan. So let's see what goes on. My name's Matt. Please like, subscribe, and from me, that's all I've got to say tonight.